Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? Your boy, Mr. DDG94, back with another reaction video. Today, we're going to react to an honest breakdown of Scottie Pippen. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Wait, what? What, bitch? What?
Recently, Scottie Pippen had a birthday and turned 58 years old. And on social media was tons of people giving their perspectives on his career and legacy. The thing is, in this current day of basketball discussions, it's so hard to get an honest perspective on the value and impact of Scottie Pippen.
Has been.
And let's just point out the elephant in the room. It's obviously because of the tired debate of Jordan versus LeBron. As much as I hate it, unfortunately, this seemingly never-ending debate has influenced and permeated just about every corner of basketball conversations. Some Jordan fans have an agenda to minimize Pippen's impact, in an attempt to make Jordan appear even greater. And on the other hand, some LeBron fans try to elevate Pippen's greatness to the point that he was basically an equal to Jordan in an attempt to diminish MJ's success. As a grown man who thinks tying your emotional state,
I'd say from a defensive standpoint, he was equal. Him and Michael was on the same level defensively. But when we talking like offensively, Jordan got it, bro. Jordan is a master of putting the ball in the basket, bro. That man averaged 37 points, won MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, bro. That's different, bro. Defensively, though, Scottie Pippen and Michael are on par. I go as far as say Scottie Pippen is a better defender than Michael. I say that without a doubt. I say Jordan has the drive, but he take risks. With Scottie, his defensive IQ, his lateral quickness, and him using his length, knowing what angle to go to steal the ball, block the shot. Like, yo, Scottie defense is top tier, bro. Elite. 99 overall, all Hall of Fame badges. For real. When we talk about Scottie Pippen.
To a basketball player is pretty pathetic. My only agenda with this video is to give an honest and hopefully insightful perspective on Pippen that will result in plenty of views and help me get my new truck.
Really?
So without further ado, let's get into it. Over the last couple of days, I've been seeing one specific Pippen quote from 2015 circling the internet all over again. He said, "I was LeBron before LeBron. They want to compare him to the greatest, whether it's MJ or Magic, but he's closer to myself." It's important to keep in mind that Pippen made this comment 8 years ago, which was before LeBron's third championship in Cleveland and long before his fourth championship
so basically
in Los
the Miami
Angeles.
days.
So Pippen's
but LeBron was
perspective
actually
on this
worth it
comparison
down.
may have changed since then. As far as his comparison to LeBron, I can see it in a sense, stylistically. Both players were big and long, physically gifted athletes who were tremendous threats in transition. But the most apt comparison is probably the aspect of the point forward. Despite the fact that both of these stars played primarily at the small forward position, both of them were known to be the main facilitators of their squads. But that's about the point where the comparison ends for me. Unlike LeBron and Jordan, Pippen was a bit of a slow bloomer, as he only averaged 7 points per game in his rookie season, and didn't start a single game that year. He didn't clearly establish himself as the Bulls' second best player until his third year in the NBA, which was the 1989 to 1990 season. Along with that, Pippen also developed slowly as an offensive player, as he didn't average at least 20 points per game until his fifth season in the league, which was during their second championship run in 1992. This brings me to my next observation that people sometimes fail to recognize. Pippen was somewhat limited offensively. Without question, he was one of the greatest two-way players in basketball history. But in no way, shape, or form would I ever consider Pippen as an elite scorer. He was a great slasher and became a decent three-point shooter as his career went on, but he didn't have the best dribbling skills, he wasn't fantastic with his back to the basket, and he sometimes struggled to reliably make a play for himself. With Jordan on the roster, at his best, Pippen scored 21 points per game, and when Jordan retired in 1993, many people expected Pippen to then assert himself as an elite scorer with extra opportunities. Well, that didn't end up being the case. Pippen's scoring did go up without MJ, but it was only marginal, as he went from roughly a 20 points per game scorer to 22 points per game in 1994 and 1995. I remember in the Last Dance documentary, Phil Jackson referred to Pippen as possibly the second best player in the entire league, only behind Jordan, but that seemed like a crazy claim to me. During his prime, I don't remember people considering Pippen as a better player than Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and so on. Pippen was one of those guys who did almost everything well. He scored well.
Yeah, that's the thing. He was on par with those guys. I wouldn't say he matches up with them talent for talent, but he's on par with those guys. He's an all-star. I mean, you don't make the all-star team unless you don't make the all-star team unless you really really good. You know what I'm saying? It's only what, 24 players that get selected to the all-star game every year. You know what I'm saying? So if you one of those lucky 24 to make the all-star team, that says something about you. You're great. And if we had to talk about it with Scottie's on par with them guys. I wouldn't say his talent is all the way there, but he's on par with the Barkleys. And he can rebound with the best of them. He can defend these guys. He can shut them down. You know what I'm saying? He might not offensively. He might not be in that same level as a Barkley or Karl Malone or David Robertson, but defensively, he can destroy all of them if he wanted to.
Well, he facilitated well and he defended well. But without being an elite league-leading scorer, he seemed to always be held back from being in the conversation of the best players in the league. Now, is that fair? Personally, I think so. Ask yourself this: how many players are referred to as superstars that never got close to averaging 25 points per game?
Damn, Kevin Garnett never averaged 25?
Might, but they're usually playmakers on another level entirely, like Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. So maybe Pippen gets a little overpraised at times as an offensive player, but what he doesn't get praised for enough is his all-time great defense. There is a debate on who's the better defensive player, Michael Jordan or Scottie Pippen. Personally, I think it depends on how you look at it.
Scottie.
Michael was more of a risk taker. He was the defender who was more likely to leave his man in an attempt to trap the offensive player with a double team. He would also often sneak up on the shooter as the help defender attempting to block his shot. Michael was more likely.
Yeah, Michael took too many risks on defense. That was his only biggest flaw. He took too many risks on defense. Like, I could tell, like, if you really sat back and really watched a Bulls game from first quarter to fourth quarter, buzzer to buzzer, pretty much, you would notice that in a lot of those games, Jordan will take a risk, especially in the playoffs, bro. I can't tell you how many times he done tried to go for the pass thinking that he knew the play, and in actuality, Scottie was holding it down. But Jordan will leave his man thinking that he know the play, so he'll go over and try to strip from behind and then end up leaving his man wide open. That hurt the Bulls in so many games. Now, granted, they won 6 titles, but still, it's games that they had in the bag if Jordan just didn't take certain risks at times. If Scottie holding it down, you don't need to take risks. That was Jordan's biggest problem. He took too many risks, and Scottie was already holding it down. Because the thing about Scottie is breaking it down for you. Scottie is the type of defensive player I would say that can guard all five players and just standing in one spot. Your power forward could be set in the pick and roll with the guard. He's in the spot where if the guard does come up, he can leave and go. He can if the guard decides to run a pick and roll scheme, he can be right there to stop it. And Scotty man could be on the wing because he's so long and lanky. He can still go. He can still contest his man in the corner for the three. Another thing too with Scotty is wherever your he always knows where your big man is. He always knows where your big man is. That's one great aspect of Scotty's defense. He always knows where your big man is because you have to remember the 90s offense was played through the big man. So Scotty knew where your big man was. Chances are your big man was going to get stripped or blocked. Especially when Scotty was on it. If Scotty was on it and if Scotty just knew how to break you down, trust me, you're not getting your offense off that well unless you run in different schemes. Because if Scotty find out your schemes, you might as well just throw it away. You might as well just throw the whole game away. Because Scotty done figured you out. And then Jordan just gonna drop 40 on you.
To abandon his man in an attempt to jump the passing lane and get the steal. When it worked, Jordan looked amazing, but when it didn't, the Bulls usually allowed a basket because of it.
Yep.
On the other hand, Pippen wasn't as much of a risk taker. Instead of daringly trying to force turnovers
guard all five players,
just
standing in one spot.
Pippen usually just locked up the opposing player with his smothering on-ball defense.
He can put the clamps on
With his
you.
lateral speed and remarkable hustle, Pippen's greatest gift defensively was his ability to stay in front of the offensive player at all times, often forcing them into a more difficult shot. The fact that he never won the Defensive Player of the Year award is kind of ridiculous, as he was consistently seen as the standard of excellence for wing defense. So if you ask me, was Pippen the LeBron before LeBron? I don't think so, as he was too limited offensively to earn that title. Was he ever close to being the second best player in the NBA? Again, I also don't think so, as players like Karl Malone, Hakeem Olajuwon, and David Robinson were elite defenders while being in the race for the scoring lead, which is something that Pippen could only dream of. On the other hand, it's a travesty that Jordan won a Defensive Player of the Year during his career, but Pippen did not. Because in terms of pure on-ball defense, I believe Pippen was definitely the best on their first three championship squads. So was Pippen the kind of player who you would consider as a franchise-leading superstar, who could have been the best player on a championship team? Honestly, I don't believe so, but he was the perfect teammate to Michael Jordan. In the exact areas where Michael needed help is the areas where Pippen was strong, like defense and distributing. Because Scottie was able to handle so much of the other responsibilities on the court, Jordan was able to focus so much of his energy on dominating the game with his scoring. A good example of that would be their averages during their playoff runs in their 6 championships. In those playoff runs, Pippen averaged more rebounds, more assists, more steals, and more blocks, while MJ obviously scored way more points. Like on most things, the truth lies somewhere in between. Pippen was a vital aspect of the Bulls winning 6 championships, and MJ certainly couldn't have done it without him. But due to his limited abilities as a scorer, he shouldn't be elevated to the level of a top 3 player in the league, or being compared to LeBron James. That's simply too much in the opposite direction. So what do you guys think? What was the highest appropriate ranking Pippen ever reached in the NBA?
I say Pippen is I say Pippen top 15. I give Pippen top 15. No, top 20. I'm tripping. Top 20, top 25. I'll say Pippen is in that range. He's in top 20, top 25. I'm tripping. Because I'm disrespecting the fuck out of some players, bro. Yeah, if we talking like Scottie Pippen, he's definitely got to be in the top 20, top 25. It's got to be. He was really good, bro. Like I said, bro, he could stand in one spot and defensively disrupt your whole offense. Because you didn't know if he knew the play or not. So you would have to still run the play, but if he knew the play, you might as well just throw it up in the air. Shit. It is what it is. But anyway, so that's just gonna about do it for this one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. I'll get back to you till then. Peace out.